Hello, friends, and welcome to the Montessori Mission, a unique podcast asking 10 Montessorians the same 10 questions to have 10 perspectives from 10 communities all around the world. I am so thrilled that today I have with me Akshatha from Maanvi and Me on Instagram, and she has joined us for episode 2 of the Montessori Mission. I'm just going to say a few words to introduce Akshatha. She is a AMI 0 to 3 Montessori educator. She's a certified positive discipline educator. She shares her delightful journey with her 20-month-old Maanvi on Instagram on the handle Maanvi and Me, and does some really gorgeous videos and posts and lots of lives. There's some gorgeous content on there of Maanvi, her little cutie. And from the work she's doing is a lot with parents, supporting them in entwining Indian culture and Montessori together. So Montessori practice and Indian culture, entwining that and see the places where that works really, really well together. So thank you so much for being with me here today for the podcast, Akshatha, and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It was such a lovely introduction. Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. And I must say, this has been such a huge honor for me. I'm currently working on, believing in myself, because I strongly felt that, unless I believe in myself, it would be really hard for me to believe in my child for who she is. But when you sent a request and I saw the list of Montessorians you're going to interview, I really doubted myself. I mean, oh my God, do I really belong to that list? Because most of them I see them as my gurus, like Jen Mahi, Pilar, and they are amazing Montessorians. But then, I had to stop and talk to myself that I am sure. I'm not as experienced as them, and I've never worked with children directly, but I do have a story that I can share, and I love to share. So thank you for inviting me again, and I hope I won't let you down. Yeah.
It is such a pleasure for you to be here. And just in that first sentence you said, that was so important, that I knew that if I didn't believe in myself, how could I believe in my child? And all of this podcast series, I think, is about our spiritual preparation as an adult. And I completely agree with you. Just launching this podcast series, I had to believe in myself to do it and to invite all these people from around the world. And those are the questions I was asking myself, like, do they really want to speak to me? And so I think it's normal. And I think the more important something is, then the more anxious we get about it, which is a good thing. It just shows really how important these things
exactly. I mean, if it wasn't for Montessori, then I would have never even had a guts to, accept an invite like this. and I broke so many of my limits already, and I'm still working on it. So it's such a great transformation within 2 years. Is such awesome.
Wow. Wonderful. That's perfect. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Akshatha, let's start with our 10 questions for the Montessori Mission. And question 1 I have for you is, please, what does Montessori mean to you?
So I see Montessori as very spiritual, I can say, because it has helped me a lot in my spiritual journey in a way. And that's one of the biggest reason why I have this huge respect for Montessori and Dr. Maria Montessori's work. And I really truly believe that it is important for us to spiritually develop, to be a good prepared adult that our child needs, because I really had to let go of so many things. I mean, I'm still working on it, but so much of my ego, my temper, my thinking, and the whole mind shift had to happen, and my whole idea of what the parenting is had to change in order to support her and look at her like a free soul. And not just my child, I can say in general, the the way I look at the world also changed in a way, because we stopped that judging and complaining and always looking for faults, and it's like something went wrong, okay, let's move on, let's see how we can solve it. And that type of mindset comes naturally, I feel, once we are in that path. And the observation, my god, the observation has helped so much to know my child, as well as I got to know so many things about myself which I wasn't aware of, because constant observation helps so much to understand yourself too. So yeah, Montessori has been such a beautiful thing that happened in my life, I can say. Yeah.
Wow, that's really beautiful, and what a transformation! It's from what you're saying. It sounds like it feels a transformation for you, and as you said, the way you look at the world, and it's really
Very, yeah,
it's so powerful,
very
isn't it?
yeah.
I can remember on my first day at MCI in London, Montessori Centre International, in my training, the first thing my lecturer said to our lecturer said to us was, once you start this course, you'll never look at children in the same way again. And that really, really stuck with me. And exactly as you said, you don't look at the world, and they say you don't look at your child, you don't look at the world, you don't look at any children. And she went on to say, oh, you'll notice children in the park, or you'll notice children in the supermarket, or you'll see a child, crying or upset, and straight away you'll have a sense of what's going on with that child. You see the soul of the child in a way that you just didn't see before, and that's been so true for me.
I can't agree more. I mean, even in the park, like as soon as the child behaves a way and the parent responds, I know exactly how the child is gonna respond.
You know what's happening.
It's so funny. Yeah, I'm like, this was coming, and I could see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny, but yeah.
It's so true. So, question 2 of the Montessori Mission is, what was your first light bulb moment on your Montessori journey?
Okay, so yeah, there are many light bulb moments, but if I have to remember the first one, it was when I found out about Montessori, I can say. Just to give a brief history, when I was pregnant, I started looking for a daycare option for my 12 weeks old child, because I was a working woman back then, and I was working as a software developer in one of the company in United States, and I didn't wanted to quit my job whatsoever, because getting to United States in a dependent visa, and going through the whole process of finding a sponsor, and like
it's a lengthy and difficult process, isn't it?
Yeah, and finally my company had agreed upon to file a green card for me, and so it wasn't an option for me to quit a job. And my company had just 3 months maternity leave, so I had to find a place for my 12 weeks old child, and
that's just so heartbreaking. 12 weeks old. I
think it's very normal in the United States, and I feel like people go with the flow. But yeah, for me, it was really a hard one, and I was looking for really a good place where it is safe for her. And I was just googling around, and I found this Guidepost Montessori. I don't know if you're aware of them.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, they're great. And I didn't know. I mean, it was just another place where they had a nido. I didn't even knew what a nido was. I just knew they had a space for my 12 weeks old child.
Wow.
And, yeah, and it was just a block away from my place where I used to live before. So it was like a good option for me. And
Yeah.
but what changed was when I was going through their description, I saw that they had mentioned like brain development, language development, hand development, independence, more confidence. And I'm like, are they really describing a needle? I mean, they say like
Yeah,
8
this is
weeks to,
possible. Yeah.
yeah, 8 weeks to 16 weeks, or no, 16 months was what the time frame they were saying for. And they mentioned all these things. And I'm like, what is going on? Because I was looking for a place where my child is fed well and her hygiene is taken care of, and some loving adult who can care for her and put her to sleep, and she feels secure. Basic needs what a mom would have, in general. But then I saw all this, and I it was very suspicious to me too, like what are they gonna do with my child?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't come naturally to us to think of independence and confidence on with the newborn infant, right? So yeah, then that's when I started learning more. And I mean, it's still, I was very on surface, I can say. But yeah, did go through a few of like videos of how the school setup is, and it was more on that. I was looking at the classrooms, and I was so amazed to see that there were children who were so independent and doing things on their own, and it felt magical because I'm not used to seeing child that young doing all that stuff that the Montessori classroom has. But even then, I thought, I got to know that they are all trained guides, and they have to go certain, do a diploma, and it's a long process. And I thought they're training the children the way that they behave, the way they're behaving, and that was my mindset. And until like 5 months, and once it hit 5 months is when I found out that people actually do it at home, and you don't need to be a guide to practice Montessori at home. And that was like a big light bulb, I can say. Yeah. And even then I thought that, okay, I need to learn how to teach my child to do all that. And once I started learning more is when I figured out that they are capable. We just have to guide them. We really don't have to teach them. We just have to guide them and give them that environment and space, and they can do.
Anyone can do it. That's the powerful thing you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, anyone can do it.
Yeah, and that was my biggest light bulb, like the major one, I can say.
Wow.
So, yeah. Sorry, I mentioned a few, but I had to mention them. So
it's perfect. It's this series of I guess sort of like keys that we unlock for ourselves, doesn't it? And then it becomes bigger and bigger realizations, and then, as you said at the beginning, it becomes part of our spiritual development. And it's so beautiful, this path, isn't it? We find out more and more.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's still a lot of light bulb moments gonna come in my life.
Yeah. I'm sure of it as well.
Yeah.
So question 3, in what ways does Montessori enrich the work that you do?
So yeah, I mean, I don't work with the children's directly, but I do influence the families through my work and my page, I can say. And yeah, I do see a lot of parents are trying to get on board and practice Montessori. So I'm really hoping that I'm not influencing the children directly, at least in a way I am helping them to take the Montessori path and live their life in a Montessori way. And of course, it has definitely helped me as a parent in my Montessori journey with my child. And I can definitely see how much it has helped my child, um, because of my parenting way, because, and it fascinates me for sure, because as Dr. Maria Montessori say, when we really give them that space and support, they really reveal themselves, and I find it so magical. I mean,
Yeah.
the confidence, the just her body gesture and the way she moves with the confidence and the way she does things is so magical, especially for a person like me who has never seen a child do such things,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely an amazing journey for me, and I'm looking forward for helping more children um, come on this path, and oh, I lost it there again.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it's so gorgeous. You're so right. Magical is the word. When we can create the conditions, then the child does reveal
Yeah.
himself or herself. And there's a Dr. Montessori quote in that, isn't there, about the child revealing itself, and it comes back to the spiritual path, and the child is the soul of the child. We're guiding the soul of the child, and allowing their spirit to reveal itself to us, and allowing them to unfold as they're meant to. So yeah, it's
And
magical is exactly what it is.
It's like all of a sudden I see a personality change. Like next day there's something really different about her, and oh my God.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it's so helpful that we see them in a fresh eyes every day. But otherwise, it's sometimes crazy. Like, how did they change so much in one day? Like, yeah, it's just like they get that comfort zone, and next day they're a new person. And
it's so true. Yeah, it happens that quickly, and it's just astonishing for us as parents. It really is.
I can say, yeah, it's so fascinating. Okay, yeah, sorry, when I go all emotional,
No, it's good. We love emotional. I'm a very emotional person as well.
So yeah, I was saying about the magical thing, right? And I do feel like so bad for those little children who are seen like so helpless and dependent, um, when it's us adults who make them so dependent on us, because they don't get an opportunity to practice the skills to be independent. Right? And I mean, I agree that it does take a lot of patience and a lot of we have to slow down, and it's a long journey, and it does require a lot of mind shift change. But the smile on their face when they can accomplish something on their own is so much worth, like all the effort we put in, I can say. Like all that confidence, the independence, everything is like a big price for our effort. And that's what is so enriching for me about Montessori.
Yeah, so true, so beautiful. It is that child giving us that gift of understanding them deeper, if we can pay attention. And as you say, when they accomplish something, it comes from so deep within them, in their heart, that it's, yeah, that's the magic.
Yes, and that smile is what always stops me from interrupting her work. Especially when she's struggling and I see that, oh my God, it's some like say that it's the hardest moment for them, and I think it's all always the hardest for an adult, especially a parent, to see the child struggle. But
Yes.
after that comes that smile of accomplishment, and I don't want to steal that smile away from her.
Yeah, that's a lovely way of putting it. Yeah, it's allowing to us just witnessing that and being part of that without needing to take it over. Yeah, take it away from them. Gorgeous. Beautiful. So, question 4. When was the first time a child taught you something about yourself that you didn't know?
Right from the beginning, I can say, when I was on the labor pain, even before she was out.
Wow. There's a lot of lessons that happen in labor.
It's so memorable, and I had a long, like 2 days long labor pain, and I had to, like, it was almost 3.5 to 4 hours just to push her out, and my body could handle all that, and that itself was so amazing for me, that how capable my body is and how strong my mind is. And I never knew about that till that moment,
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Even now, when I think about it, it's like, how did I do that? I mean, 2 days long labor. And I was, I'm sure, like, before it was a normal thing, but now everyone opt for epidural, and I wanted that too. I was like, I wanted to be as natural as possible. And yeah, it was painful for sure, but it was an amazing journey, and it taught me a lot of lessons about myself, I can say.
Wow, that's gorgeous. She was teaching you right from the beginning. That there's that quote.
And my courage and my power. Even
that power. There's a quote, isn't there, that when we give birth, we're our most powerful and our most vulnerable, and it's extraordinary experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where that power comes from.
It's sacred power, isn't it? It's
I mean, I took the COVID vaccination. I was down for 1 day, and I was like, this is so exhausting, and I labor pain for 2 days, and yeah.
It's ancient strength and ancient wisdom, and that sacredness of creation, isn't it, that gives us that that strength when we need it. It's incredible. It's extraordinary. And so, when was the last time a child taught you something about yourself that you didn't know?
I always say my child is my teacher. She teaches me every single day. There's something to learn from her. But currently, my focus is on learning the observation and being in the moment part of the child. Because before it was, obviously she used to observe, but she wasn't verbal enough, so I wasn't sure what she's observing. But now she says what she observes, and it is amazing. Like, she can point out even like a single dot, like aeroplane in so much distance, and even an ant. When we are walking on the street, she makes sure I don't step on an ant by pointing out an ant. And I'm like, oh my god, there's so much in tune with the surrounding. And the hardest thing right now, the biggest challenge for me, is the sound. Like, she tries to recognize all the sounds, and she tries to name, she wants to know what that sound is, and that's really something so challenging for me, because some sounds she recognizes, like ambulance, motorbike, everything is good, but we live in Chicago downtown, and there's so many sounds here. And she wants me to, and she repeats, like, if she hears a sound, she tries to repeat, trying to make that sound, and she has that question mark in her face, like, what was that sound? So I feel like I'm really trying to be more present and in the moment, and more observing than I was before. just because I should know what is happening, so I can help her out to, have an answer for her.
Yeah,
Or it is,
understand her world.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so different to see the world from a child's eye.
Yeah. It's sharing the joy and the wonder of the world through their eyes is just particularly for the Piccolini age, the toddler age, where Maanvi is at the moment. There's something that's so magical for
Yeah,
me at that age. Yeah, because as you say, they teach us to be present, and they teach us to observe, because they are such keen, sharp observers. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, in this generation, it is so hard for us. I mean, I used to never remember when I used to come from my office to house. I don't remember anything that happened throughout the way because my head is somewhere else, on the
Elsewhere, yeah.
phone or in the future.
Mhm.
But now when I'm going to walk with her, it's always, at least I try to be in the present, because it's constantly something she's observing and I'm busy observing her. And, so it is so much of yeah, it's magical for sure. And it's a different experience to see the world from their eyes. Yeah.
Giving them the gift of time and space is all we need to give them.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
so
lovely. It's not just for them, it's so good for us too.
yeah, exactly. Appreciating what's in front of us. Question 6 for the Montessori Mission, Akshata. When was the last time a child caught you out of integrity and questioned you on it?
So I, I had to share a very personal story here, which I've never done before, but that that incident really taught me some great lessons, so I had to do it. So last December, I lost my dad, and it was a very, obviously very emotionally draining moment for me. And but I had mentally decided that I will not show my emotions to my daughter. It's like, i I know I was crazy, but yeah, I was like, okay, I'm not I'm not going to cry, and I'm not going to show her heavy emotions. So I mean, I would have done it differently now probably, but back then I was still in the
Yeah.
learning phase. And so I was trying to be as normal as possible. And in fact, I was actually trying to be more, active with her and spending more time with her than usual, just to cover it up.
Yeah.
But then that night, um, she didn't sleep. It was very crazy. I mean, she was screaming on top of her voice, and I didn't knew what was happening. I mean, I tried co-sleeping with her too, and she it didn't help at all. Yeah, and I was so scared. I mean, even though it's my dad, I had all this feeling like, is she seeing something that I'm not aware of? And it really scared me, and I couldn't know what's happening. And finally, like, I asked my husband to come and sleep with us. In He brought his mattress, and finally I could relax, and then she could relax, and she fell asleep. And then I started analyzing, like, okay, what happened there? Like, I know she's very sensitive to order, so I was thinking to see if anything changed in her environment, and it was nothing. It was then That's when I realized it was me, that my emotional bucket was so empty, and I was trying to act out to be so normal, but she's so in tune with me that she could get it, that it's something is wrong, and she was not comfortable with it. And that was really something, that really struck me, that it's not going to work if I try to act out in a certain way. I mean, I did have a lot of knowledge back then because I had read many books and I knew if something happened, how I react and things like that. But until it comes from my heart, she's not gonna buy it, is when it really struck, and I was like, okay, I really need to work on myself to change internally. So what I say should come from my heart, and whatever I say, I have to mean it. Only then is when it's gonna work. Otherwise, just saying something is she cannot connect because it's not coming from my heart. And sorry, I lost it again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a really a big transformation for me. And yeah, from then on, I really took my internal journey, spiritual journey, I can say, very seriously, and started working on myself, my triggers, and whenever I feel that I said something but it didn't come from my heart, I do revisit those scenarios and think like, what happened there? Like, I said it okay, but why wasn't I accepting it from my heart? And I'm reworking on those things now. Yeah.
Thank you. That is such a beautiful and a vulnerable story to share. Thank you so much. And
yeah, I had to share this one.
it's really personal. Thank you. And I think you're absolutely right. They just sense our inauthenticity at 50 miles away. If we're not aligned in some way, they know that something isn't right. They feel it. And this is why we talk so much about the spiritual nature of the child, and the child coming to us to teach us, and the child is revealing themselves. She knew that something was wrong with you, and she knew in those, that was very confusing for her, but her ancient wisdom, she sensed that. And so she was how old then? Maybe just over a year, 14 months old would she have been back in December?
That's a new one. Yeah, like 15.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, what an extraordinary story. That's really, and so humbling that a toddler can teach us. A lesson in integrity taught by a toddler that's really, really, really powerful. And the other conversations I've had for this podcast, we've talked about how our babies and toddlers teach us so much even before they're verbal. And then it's really interesting when you get towards sort of the elementary age. My daughter's 6.5. When I'm out of integrity, she will say it out loud, in glorious technicolor, she will tell me. And it's really, even if we think we may have got away with it in the baby and toddler stage, as they get older, there's nowhere to hide. And it's great because, as you say, it's part of our journey. And it needs to be this way if we are going to create a new world, and if we're going to create a more peaceful and harmonious society. We need our children to be able to call us out and question our integrity, because if they don't feel safe enough to do that, how can they feel safe enough in the world to question injustice? And how can they feel safe enough to question equality and things and stand up for what's right if they can't call us to do what's right in an authentic way?
And I'm so glad they do it because it's a big way for us to grow internally too, right? When they call it out.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. So question 7 is, how did you explain yourself? So how did you, with Maanvi, what happened then when you realized it was coming from you, and you were trying to hide her feelings to protect her? I guess it was from a place of love, hey, wasn't it? That you didn't want to burden her with your grief. But how did you resolve that?
I mean, I had to let go of all that thing. And it was a big change for me. I mean, even though then I didn't show much, I did cry out right then. As soon as I relaxed, I just cried the whole night, I can say.
Yeah.
And I was really relaxed the next day, and I had to rethink of many
Yeah.
things, like what are, how I can work on it. So the whatever I say, I really mean what I say, and
Mm.
it come from my heart. I mean, still it's a work in progress, I can say, but I've really improved a lot over a few months of my journey. Yeah.
Wonderful. There's a really beautiful quote, and I can't recall who said it, but it was it goes, happiness is when what we think, what we say, and what we do are in perfect alignment. And that really speaks to what you've said. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So question 8 is, this is a really difficult one. What is your favorite Dr. Montessori quote? There's always so many for us to choose from. So what's your favorite one that you're working with at the moment, that's really speaking to you at the moment?
Yeah, I had when I prepared for this talk, I had one quote, and today morning I changed it because
So true.
I had a different mindset today. So, yeah, the one I picked for today is a child without a secret becomes an adult without a personality. It's from the Montessori Speaks to Parents, Dr. Maria Montessori Speaks to Parents. I feel that small book has so many beautiful quotes, parents in it, even though it sounds like a slap on the face.
Yeah.
But I love it. Yeah, I really love it. So
Can you
yeah,
share it with us again? The child without, sorry, I didn't catch it.
a child without a secret becomes an adult without personality. And
Wow.
true, right? I mean, we always want to know so much about our child.
Yeah.
And for me, it took a long time to even observe her objectively, because every time I sit to observe, I'm like, what is she thinking? What does she
Yeah.
need? So many things I want to know. What is she
Yeah.
doing every single time? And just to get that mindset, just observe.
Yeah.
Don't
Observe,
judge,
observe.
don't think. Yeah,
Yeah.
it took me so long. And I think as they grow and they go out to the world, it might increase. I feel like, I don't know, you should tell me, like, the curiosity to know what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard
Yes.
to just let go, and it's okay for them to have a secret.
That's so beautiful, isn't it? And it's when we learn to observe, it's, as you said earlier on, being in that present moment and just honoring and revering what they're experiencing in that moment, without us sort of going 10 minutes ahead and working out what are they doing and the reasons for it. It's bringing ourselves back really gently, really compassionately, bringing ourselves back every time to go, okay, what are they doing right now? Okay, now what are they doing? Now what are they doing? Instead of racing ahead. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and of course, like, we did have secrets that we didn't share with our parents. So I feel it's not fair for us to want to know everything what a child
Exactly. Yeah.
what's
It's
going on in their life, right? I mean, as long as they feel safe enough that they can come and talk to us if they want to talk. I think that's all we can ask for.
Yeah. It's healthy for them to unfold as they're meant to be and find their path. Yeah, exactly. So question 9 is, what is your deepest Montessori, what is your deepest desire for Montessori in the future?
I have two. Can I say both?
Yeah, definitely.
So the first one is, I can say, the education, like the school, I want it to be more accessible and affordable at the same time, because I do hear a lot that I want my child to go to Montessori school, but I don't have a Montessori school in where I live, or even if there are, it's usually till 3 to 6 age group.
Yes.
Find easily, and after that there is no Montessori school, and they're scared, like, how the transition would happen, and if they have difficulty moving to a regular school after they have been to Montessori school for so long. And so yeah, I really hope it's more accessible and there are more and more Montessori schools. And as Janmahi mentioned in her call, if the education system itself follows Montessori, that would be awesome.
Yes.
But it's not that. At least I hope there'll be more Montessori schools and affordable Montessori schools. I don't know about other parts of the world, but the place I live in, it's like super expensive and there are very less public Montessori schools. So, not everyone can afford a
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the next one is the community. And I want more families to actually start following Montessori with their children and in the right way. I'm saying the right way because, I'm so happy to see the community is growing, especially the social media. But I feel there's so much of hype given to the shelf activities and
Yes.
the setup and everything that we are losing the core concepts and the principles behind it. And I don't know how much of the principle is actually being
Yes.
across as much as the trend of Montessori homes.
Yeah.
Because I do see some like they have all the shelf set up and they have all the expensive toys, but they're always correcting the child like how to
Yeah.
do it, and I'm like, like what's the point, so I really hope it spreads in the right way and more people will feel that they can actually follow Montessori principles with their children.
Yeah.
That's my dream. Yeah.
That's beautiful. You're right. It's Montessori is a way of life. It's not, we can practice it whether or not we have the toys or the equipment or the materials. It's a way of being with.
It's not everything, right? I mean, we just need order, and that's why the shelf is. But the shelf is given so much of priority over the child, and so.
Yeah. It's circling back to what you said at the beginning. Montessori is a way of being with our child, but being in ourselves. That's what Montessori means for me. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, from your two wonderful desires that you spoke of in question 9, question 10 is, please, what do you see is your role in achieving these desires you have for Montessori?
Like currently, I don't know how I can help the education system, but I am trying to help the families for sure. Like at least the small community I have, I'm trying to show them the beauty of the Montessori home apart from the shelf and activity. I used to share the shelf and activities too before, but soon I realized that I started getting more questions on where did you buy it, and my child does not concentrate as much as your child, and and my child just wants to move and they don't want to sit and play with these activities, or how can I help them concentrate and sit, and that's when I felt like I'm really creating that disconnection and peer pressure to other parents, and that's really I didn't want to do that. That was not my goal of being in media, and that's when I started shifting my focus on my page from the shelf. I very rarely, like if people really demand, then I share her shelf on my post or something on my story. But now I'm focusing more on the principles and part of the life than the shelf activities where we just spend the time together, we cook together, some practical life activities. Those are the things I'm focusing more. And I have observed that since the time, oh sorry, can you hear that? My daughter is up.
Oh,
my husband is up too, so I think he will be able to take care. Yeah, I think he's there. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So,
Nice
so
for her to be part of it as well.
so yeah, I think I'm shifting my focus more on giving the value to the principles and showing how the Montessori home would be apart from the shelf and other activities. So I've found that like than before, like before I used to hear a lot of them saying it's not affordable, but now I see more parents getting on board and showing more interest because I feel that they can connect better. And sometimes I just share the snippets of me observing her, like I just write what I've observed and things like that. And I hear like, oh, my child does that too. And I never thought of that way. And like,
Yeah.
that's what I want to show.
Yeah.
And and now they are actually sharing how they observed something or things like that. And now I really feel like I'm on a better track now, and this is exactly what I wanted to convey to the world. So yeah, I'm trying my best to get people on board with the principles rather than the setup. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And that's such a vital work, as you say, to move it away purely the aesthetics and focus more on the child and their needs. And I think that's that's a metaphor for, I guess, social media in general and life in general. Sort of the more and more it feels like more and more in the world we're focused more on aesthetics and the way that we look or the way that our homes look. And actually when we're able to, and when it's the right time in our development or our stage of our life or what have you, then we can come back to really what's inside, and our children really shine a light on this. As you said, you realize that from the answers parents were giving you or the questions they were giving you, that it wasn't really a reflection of what was in your heart and how your heart wanted to speak about Montessori. And so that's given you that that's guided you towards a different path. And I think that's so valuable for the families that you work with.
And I don't blame any of the parents. I mean, even I started there because I got influenced by other Montessori families, and I'm not saying it's wrong. Obviously, they have their journey, but when the focus is on the activities and things, and I'm sure in Instagram that gets a better, what to say,
more likes and things like that.
But somewhere the principle get lost in that process. So maybe some icons which focuses on the principles too would be great.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for answering our questions today on the Montessori Mission podcast. It's been such a pleasure to have you with me today. And as we were saying earlier, I think it's so valuable for our audience to see somebody who's in the early stages, the first few years of their Montessori journey. And I believe you're going to inspire so many other parents who may be in the same position you were, pregnant, and which direction do I go in? There's so much information, isn't there? We're bombarded when we're pregnant with all these messages, and you've trod that journey, but less than 2 years ago, you've trod that path of thinking, okay, what is really going to be best? What is my heart saying that's going to be best for my child? And you found, or maybe Maanvi guided you to it, who knows, guided you to what was right for you. And now this has opened up. This has been part of your metamorphosis and opening up into a whole new world. And as you say, your spiritual development, your path, and now you're supporting other families in your community. So I think that's hugely inspiring. In episode 1, we had Jean-Marie Pernel, who has 25 years experience in Montessori. And then the other end of the spectrum, to have someone at the beginning who's living and breathing this with her toddler, I think is hugely valuable and really inspiring. And as you say, you were in a a corporate career, as it were, and to have had that shift, you know, is really really extraordinary and really empowering as well for lots of people. So thank you so much, and for everything you've shared really vulnerably as well about the passing of your father, and that is really lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and with the corporate world, I should say, like, I went back to office after she was like 3 months. I went just for 2 weeks, and then I'm like, oh, this is where I belong.
I didn't know that. Wow, 2 weeks. That is amazing.
Yeah, I really didn't feel like I belonged there. I was so career oriented, and you know, I used to work really hard and put so much of effort, and then when I went back after a child, I'm like, what am I doing this? I have a better job, I have a child. And I'm sure every mom would have felt that, but the guilt feeling was so strong in me, and I could not do it at all. Like, I'm not gonna do this. I just told my husband I need to quit, and yeah, I have a better job to do. So yeah.
And amazing for him to be a Montessori father as well, to be your supportive partner in that. That's really incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's hard, but yeah, one person earning, but yeah,
definitely, for sure. Yeah, that was the position that we were in as well when Livia and Harry were small. Yeah, it's tough. It's a challenge, isn't it? Thank you so much for everything you've shared today. And now I'd like to invite you to share with the audience what you have coming up, what causes that you're involved in at the moment, how can parents get more of Akshata? Tell us everything that you're working on at the moment.
I don't have a big list. I'm like very small person, but yeah, I'm actually going to undergo another AMI training end of June for my 3 to 6 assistance course. So
Wonderful.
I think I'm going to take slow in early July, but I am planning to do my first parental workshop at the end of July. It will be more of positive discipline combined with Montessori kind of a
Lovely.
workshop. So yeah, I think the best place to reach out to me would be my handle, Maanvi and Me on Instagram. So yeah, I'll keep everyone posted about my workshop.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, please do. And when it goes live, then I can put it on my stories as well. That would be really beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you, and thank you. It's good night for you, isn't it, in Chicago? You're really late, and it's early for me in Dubai.
Yeah, it's almost 12:45.
Yeah. Wow, sorry, I've kept you really late.
No, you're good. It was a pleasure talking to. I think I can keep on talking, and yeah, it was you made me feel really comfortable and let go of all my fears. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. So friends, thank you so much for watching episode 2 of the Montessori Mission. 10 Montessorians, 10 questions, and 10 perspectives from 10 communities. And have a beautiful day, all of you. And I can't wait to see you for episode 3. Take care. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.